Warning, do not watch this video unless you want to become a flat earther.
Yeah, right.
You say yeah right, but I
How'd you do that? Burn the witch!
guarantee you that you don't actually know what we believe. And if you let yourself watch to the end with an open mind, you'll find out that it's actually you that's been hanging on a belief system, on a religion as it relates to the globe.
Understanding basic physical laws and principles, and knowing the shape of our planet, which we've proven 100 different ways over the past 3,000 years, is a religion? I thought religion was stuff like believing in a god or in gods, and drinking wine while pretending it's the blood of some dead hippie.
You'll also develop a newfound respect for this group of people that support this channel and who are so willing to be called stupid, so willing to be looked at as idiots for simply questioning the narrative of what they're being told. Because the reality is, no one becomes a flat earther by seeing the floating pancake.
No, you're right. People become flat earthers for much worse reasons.
Yeah, we think that's ridiculous too.
Well, good. I'm glad.
We become flat earthers by studying and finding major errors in the heliocentric model and actively pursuing truth, which I guarantee you is harder than passively absorbing a lie.
By studying truth, do you mean listening to whatever someone on YouTube says without providing any evidence?
We probably actually know more about what you believe than you do. Remember, we used to be you. So trust me when I say that any objection that is currently or is about to arise in your mind, we've already dealt with ourselves.
I highly doubt it. And I don't think that most flat earthers actually used to think differently. But considering the rest of this video, you clearly haven't actually thought very deeply about this topic.
And if this thing was truly easily debunkable, none of us would still be flat earthers. Have you not wondered why someone would believe in something so stupid as flat earth? Why people don't mind being called idiots? Maybe it's because it's not that stupid. Maybe someone wants you to think it's stupid.
Someone does want me to think it's stupid. That person is me.
Maybe someone is working really hard behind the scenes to make you think that we believe in a square pancake flying through the solar system that you could just step off of and into nothingness of space.
We all know that's not what you believe. What you believe is much stupider than that.
But again, I assure you, we think that's ridiculous too. Nor do we have anything to do with the Flat Earth Society. I've attended and spoken at conferences all over the US and Canada and met thousands of flat earthers, and not once, never, have I met someone associated with the Flat Earth Society. That is an organization of half-truths and idiotic science. Okay? We are simply people in search of truth who hold empirical, measurable, repeatable science as well as ancient accounts on a higher level than mere theoretical mathematics.
This is going to blow your mind. But we went to space, and we saw the Earth. And it was round. Could you look Buzz Aldrin in the eye and say to him, "You never went to space, the Earth is flat"? Well, of course you could. You're a flat earther who believes that Buzz Aldrin is a part of the they. But could you go to space yourself and come back and say the Earth is flat? Could you visit Antarctica and see the 24-hour sun and still say that the Earth is flat?
And last thing before I get going, I want you to know that they are banking on you not questioning this. They're hoping to their God with a lowercase g.
Oh no, not a lowercase g. Whatever will we do when it's lowercase? That's not Yahweh. That's not Yahweh. It's lowercase. It's lowercase. No, it's a lowercase g. It's a lowercase g. Oh no, it's a lowercase g. It's lowercase. It's lowercase. It's lowercase.
That you do not look into this, because they know if you do, you're going to have some major questions that unfortunately have no warm and fuzzy answers, which is why they've worked so hard to keep the flat earth, the perception of flat earth, as a theory that only morons could believe in. So sit back, relax, and I promise you will not regret it.
I won't regret it, because this video was super easy to research and a nice break from arguing with Christians.
As I mentioned earlier, it wasn't the words flat earth or the fact that the flat earth theory has all the answers, because it doesn't. And it certainly wasn't the social consequences that drew us in.
It was being taught as a little kid that this was true and not questioning it. And I am glad to hear you say that it doesn't have all the answers. That's a surprising amount of humility.
But for most of us, it was the questioning of the globe model which ultimately brought us to flat earth. So here's some questions that reveal some things that I didn't even realize I believed in by believing in the globe. Why is it that even though the Earth spins at 1,000 miles an hour at the equator, goes around the sun at 66,000 miles per hour, which travels through the universe at 500,000 miles per hour, which is expanding at over 1,000,000 miles per hour, are we able to take a picture of the sky on the same day every year and never see changes in the stars, even for thousands of years?
1, the stars are really, really far away. And 2, this is just factually inaccurate. The stars change over time. In fact, the Pleiades used to have a 6th star the knowledge of which was preserved in many ancient mythologies. Also, the stars change season to season and month to month, although they are pretty small to us and the changes are gradual and hard to notice night by night.
Why does Elon Musk say, you can tell it's real because it looks so fake? That's because it does look fake. Look how the Earth glitches out in the background, but the car doesn't.
Let us say, for the sake of argument, that this video was faked. Does that mean that the entire globe model suddenly falls apart? If I make a fake video of Italy, does it cease to exist?
And see how the Earth supposedly looks from the International Space Station, which is 240 miles up. However, this was taken from only 170 miles.
I wish I could say more, but I actually don't know what he is talking about. Something with Musk. Is it that time that he launched a car into space? I don't know. It doesn't matter that much.
Do you see an issue here? It's just like the Red Bull space jump in the Mythbusters episode that used downward-facing fisheye lenses to create massive amounts of curvature. But the non-fisheye lenses from the capsule and the cockpit show flat horizons.
Okay, so you notice how the ship in the quote-unquote fisheye lens videos wasn't curved, like it would be if it was a fisheye lens? Also, you notice how the flat horizon ones have a significantly smaller view of the Earth?
Which concur perfectly with weather balloon footage more than 20 miles up. Which, by the way, 20 miles high is roughly the size of the bulge that should be in the state of Kansas due to it being 413 miles wide. Here's what 20 miles up looks like. That would be a large bulge for something that is supposed to be flatter than a pancake. And by the way, Kansas is only the 9th flattest state in the U.S.
You know when someone is saying such batshit insane stuff that is so unsourced that you literally have zero clue what they are talking about?
How many pieces of flat land does it take to make a ball?
Humans are small. The planet is very big. Therefore, the curvature looks like a flat plane. When you stand on a big sphere, it looks flat. This is basic geometry.
Why, when we look at the stars in December, do we see the same stars that we see in June?
Firstly, the stars do change. The stars that don't are the ones near the poles, where we do not rotate about. Secondly, the stars are really far away. I don't know that you understand how far away they are. Did you know that you can use the website google.com to find out answers to questions?
We should be looking in two totally different directions.
And we are. But the poles are still facing where the poles are. So the stars, up and down relative to the Earth, stay the same. But you'll notice that the stars that are not near the poles do change.
If ships sail over the curve of the Earth, why are we able to bring them back into view with high-powered lenses as if they merely sailed past the horizon of the eye's angular resolution?
Do that over land. Get your buddy, find a nice massive field of grass somewhere in fuck-off Nebraska, get a horse, put him on the horse, have him ride far, far away, and see if you can see him by zooming in. The answer is you won't be able to because it only works over water.
Why are we able to see things over long distances, which according to the formula for a ball with a circumference of 24,900 miles, should be thousands of feet below the curvature horizon?
Get a glass of water and set that water on the counter. Now take an object, any object, and put it near the glass at the water level. Stand so you are higher than the water level. You should see the object look distorted, and you should see it on the surface of the water at the edge, as if it were on top of the water. Water bends light. That is why you can see stuff that you otherwise wouldn't be able to. Once again, do this over land and see how well it works.
And now, with infrared technology, we are seeing things that should be miles below the horizon, if we truly lived on a ball.
This is unsourced, so I don't care. I'm also frankly done with doing Google searches to find the answer, and almost instantly finding the answers to these questions. He could have just done that himself, but he refused to.
If Eratosthenes proved the Earth was a ball thousands of years ago, with an experiment using shadows, why do experts say that his results should actually be the same on a flat Earth with a smaller local sun?
How many suns are in your sky? I would like to know. The star you showed next to the flat plane was significantly closer, which may lead one to imagine that they may see several suns in the sky at once. Do you know what has never once ever fucking happened?
If the sun barely looks bigger than the other stars from Saturn, why is it able to completely light it up so that we can see it from Earth?
Wait, what?
If the sun barely looks bigger than the other stars from Saturn, Why is it able to completely light it up so that we can see it from Earth?
Because the sun is much closer to Saturn than the other stars, and the sun is super, super bright. You know that the atmosphere is the only reason the sun seems so huge to us, right? In space, there is no light dispersion.
And if something merely the size of the other stars can do that, why is the backside of Saturn not lit up by the billions of stars on the other side?
Do you know how far away those stars are? They are thousands of light years away. Millions, I don't know. Big fucking number.
And why are there dark sides to any objects in the solar system?
Because the other stars are thousands of light years away. They are so far away that it would take several generations moving at impossible speeds to even reach them.
If moonlight reflects the warm light of the sun, why is moonlight measurably cold?
I'm sorry, is that a fucking thermometer for your forehead? And you're trying to use it from a distance on concrete.
Why is it warmer in the shadows at night when it's the exact opposite of what we experience in the sunlight during the day?
You tried to conduct your experiment using a thermometer. Come back to us when you have an infrared scan.
How is it possible that our positive atmosphere sticks to this ball right next to the negative vacuum of space without a barrier in between?
The Earth is really, really big. Well, not so big astronomically speaking, but it's big compared to us and compared to gas molecules like oxygen and nitrogen. Therefore, because of gravity, the gases of the atmosphere are pulled towards the Earth. Space exerts no gravitational force, so it doesn't float off. Why doesn't it stick to the ground? Well, gaseous molecules are very energetic. That's why the air is up there, but everything else, the solids and the liquids, are all down here.
How is it that people claim to see lights in the sky that are the International Space Station and other satellites when they do not have lights on them? And due to their supposed distance off the ground, the sun wouldn't have the ability to reflect light off them, let alone the fact that I do not believe you could see a satellite, something the size of a pickup truck, 250 miles away, even if it was lit by the sun. That's like saying you could see a vehicle in Oklahoma City while standing in Dallas.
So I Googled it, something you are too incompetent to do. And yes, you can see the ISS with the naked eye, and it is because of the reflected sunlight. Also, the ISS is 356 feet long, 243 feet wide, and it has a height of 148 feet. A semi-truck, which you compared the satellite to before, has a length of 80 feet, 8.5 feet wide, and 13.5 feet high. The ISS is 4.5 times as long, 28 times as wide, and 11 times the height of an average semi-truck.
How is it we supposedly went to the moon 50 years ago, but now we can't leave low Earth
That's the
orbit?
farthest that we can go.
How is it that during World War II, tanks could blow apart entire buildings, but now my Nissan Versa can't even blow apart a soda can?
Why are the pictures of Earth from space described as composite images?
Because all of those pictures are composite images. There are non-composite images of the globe that you can find on NASA's website.
Using ground-based observations and Photoshop to fill in the gaps.
Here, look. These are non-composite images of the Earth. They are freely available on the open internet. Nobody is hiding them from you.
Why was all the original moon footage and telemetry data destroyed?
This, again, took me a single Google search and maybe a minute of research. The original tapes are lost because of storage space issues. They needed the film, but they didn't have enough, so they had to film over it. However, none of the actual footage is lost. We just don't have the original tapes.
Why is NASA constantly getting caught on live feeds with men in the background of models?
That is a blanket. I know your ooga booga monkey instincts are telling you that's a face, but I promise you it's not. Which is more likely? 1, everyone has been lied to and no one except you knows. Or 2, it's a fucking blanket.
Harnesses on the International Space Station and bubbles and scuba gear in space like they're filming spacewalks in a pool.
I didn't know you had an issue with their fashion sense, and astronauts train underwater before going into space.
Why is YouTube hiding true flat Earth content and promoting the ridiculous false perception of the floating pancake?
You're dealing with all these conspiracy theorists on your platform.
So the first way is by demoting low-quality content and promoting more authoritative content, and the second is by providing more transparency for users. So we're introducing boxes that provide factual information at the top of results that have shown themselves to turn up a lot of information that is counterfactual, such as searching for the Earth is flat on YouTube, where you see a lot of...
Your response is to put a box saying, nope, the Earth is not flat.
Correct.
Okay.
Because they have somehow become convinced that you and your ideas are a threat to our nation and our world. But you aren't. And it simply acts to make people like you think that you're right, by making you feel silenced. I wish they would remove that stupid feature.
And lastly, if we are so sure about this spinning ball heliocentric model, why are experts saying things like this?
So everything we know about the universe, what we're made of, galaxies, stars, planets, that's all right here. So, according to this chart, we are 96% stupid.
How is that clip relevant? He's talking about dark energy, as opposed to atoms, and how we don't know anything about dark energy. He's not even talking about the globe.
And just so you know, the globe side has complex answers to all these. But it's time you start evaluating evidence for yourself instead of simply accepting someone else's opinion of it.
I do. And my evaluations tell me that the Earth is a globe orbiting the sun in a galaxy in a physical, materialistic, naturalistic, uniformitarian universe.
We all have the same evidence. It's your worldview and your perception of the source that determines your interpretation of that evidence.
Well, I'll agree with that. Audible wink.
The experts are not any closer to the stars than you are.
Factually inaccurate. They are in space while I am on the planet Earth. They are marginally closer. Not by much, but they are marginally closer.
You have the ability to trust your senses and come up with conclusions for yourself.
My senses tell me that the Earth is a globe orbiting around a star. I wake up in the morning and watch the sunrise. I stay up late and watch the sun set. I look at the stars and the moon. They all make me believe the Earth is a ball orbiting around the sun.
So what do flat earthers believe? Well, I'll caveat with, we do not have it all figured out, nor do we claim to.
You might not claim to have it all figured out, but some flat earthers definitely do claim that.
However, we can prove that there are major issues with the globe model, and that is why we are searching for other solutions and other models which can support the phenomena and science we repeatedly observe.
Your model has been repeatedly tested and shown to not work, while our model has been repeatedly tested and shown to work. And additionally, we've fucking seen the globe.
Well, this is the best representation I have so far.
Okay, so this is your model. Can you prove this to be accurate? Because I can say that an invisible goblin named Schmegule drags stuff to the floor when you drop it. And that doesn't disprove gravity just because I proposed it as a reason why things fall. Can you prove your model to be true?
We believe the center of our motionless world is the North Pole, and an explorer or traveler can still circumnavigate this world from east to west or west to east by performing clockwise or counterclockwise circles around the North Pole. Antarctica is not a continent at the bottom of the globe, but rather a continental ice shelf and mountain range that acts as a shoreline that holds the waters in and potentially supports the dome above, so no falling off the edge.
Okay, then you say, here is my evidence.
The sun, moon, and stars are simply lights in the sky. They are smaller, closer, located inside the Earth's system. They are not objects floating through space that are similar to the Earth. They are part of the Earth, so no comparing us to them.
I once again ask, can you prove it?
There are many things that people think disprove this model, thus concluding they live on a ball, and there's no way I can address all of them, but here's some of the most common objections.
What can be asserted without evidence can be dismissed without evidence. Instead of defending your claim by batting down attacks, defend it by proving it to be true beyond a reasonable doubt. Give us evidence of your claim.
People say that other planets are round, but as I mentioned earlier, we believe planets are just lights in the sky, not places you can go. Simply wandering stars that are part of our system, not outside it. Space, as you think of it, is a lie.
Interesting. Now can I see some proof? Or even maybe some evidence?
People say there are no pictures of the edge. Well, that's because of the Treaty of Antarctica that does not allow for private exploration beyond the 60th parallel.
You can find the treaty by going to the Antarctic Treaty website. Article 1 prohibits military force in Antarctica. Article 2 secures the right to scientific research on Antarctica. Article 3 establishes that information and discoveries shall be exchanged freely. Article 4 just has to do with land claims. Article 5 bans nuclear material. Article 6 secures the rights to the oceans near Antarctica. Article 7 just has to do with politics and keeping each other informed. Article 8 just has to do with how the laws apply to people in Antarctica. Article 9 just talks about when and where they meet and what they meet about and stuff like that. Article 10 just says, essentially, promise not to break the treaty. Article 11 just says, talk it out. Article 12 just talks about amendments and leaving the treaty. Article 13 was really boring and legal, and I'm losing interest, but the most important thing I read was how great America. And no, it says literally nothing about private exploration. Article 14 just says that it's in English, Spanish, French, and Russian, and also America. So, as you can tell by my summary, it never mentioned anything about private exploration. Don't believe me? Read it yourself. It's public information.
Upheld by the United Nations, whose flag also happens to be the map of the flat Earth.
Every map of the Earth is flat, because it is impossible to have a spherical map, except, of course, for actual globes. No one in the UN claimed that map projection was actually what the Earth really looks like. It's just one of the many map projections of the Earth, and it's clearly and obviously wrong. Just look at Australia.
People say sunsets disprove the flat Earth because we believe the sun stays at a constant height in the sky as it circles above our head, which is true. However, you'll notice on clear days with minimal humidity, the missing water in the atmosphere allows you to see the sun shrink into the distance as it moves away. It appears to go down just like the lights in this hallway appear to go down. However, if the lights in this hallway were considerably higher than the observer, they would appear to shrink very little as they moved away. And if we were to create some atmospheric magnification, they could even appear to grow as they approach the horizon, just as the sun does on humid days.
Ultimately, that thing about the sun really was a nothing, still appears to go down. And going down and shrinking basically look the same. My question, how do the phases of the moon work?
And what about gravity? Well, to put it plainly, we don't believe in gravity. We believe things govern themselves based on density, buoyancy, and the electromagnetic force.
You don't know what any of those words mean. If you did, you wouldn't use them like that.
All three things that are measurable and provable. Gravity, even though it is sold as a law, is actually just a theory, and it's truly only needed to stick things to a ball or have that ball revolve around another ball. Newton himself had doubts about gravity, and in fact, it has never been proven to exist.
Gravity is measurable and provable. We literally measured it and proved it. Gravity pulls things down at an average rate of 9.8 meters per second squared. We arrived at that number through scientific measurements and experiments. We proved it.
There was an experiment performed in which gravity waves were supposedly detected from two black holes orbiting each other a billion light years away. Just for some perspective, the sun is only 8 light minutes away. So multiply that distance by 65,000 to get a light year, then multiply it by a billion. Then turn out the lights because they're black holes. They claim that everything in the universe gives off gravity waves, including the moon. Yet they did not detect it from the moon. They detected it from two black holes a billion light years away. They were supposedly distorting space-time. And the amount which they claimed to have detected this space-time being distorted was less than the diameter of the nucleus of an atom.
Black holes have such a high gravity that even light cannot escape. Thus, it is a black hole. That is why they were able to detect it. Our technology is extremely precise now, and it's truly a testament to our world scientists that they were able to build a machine that could detect these black holes. Congrats to them.
So, please use your brains the next time you see NASA come up with a big discovery. Look how it's always accompanied with an artist rendering or an image instead of a picture. Just like this image of a black hole that they supposedly stitched together from multiple forms of data that just happens to look a lot like the cover of the Soundgarden album, Black Hole Sun.
There's this guy called Mini Minuteman. He has a series where he takes a shot of alcohol every time someone says, looks like. It's a fun series. Once again, I don't care about your monkey instincts, ooga booga pattern recognition.
Now, the big question, why would somebody cover this up? Well, because the forces of evil cannot rule the original creation, the one created by God. They have to create an artificial one, a perception, in order to remove the true God from the equation, lifting themselves up to be gods.
Turns out it was an atheist response video the whole time.
And they do this by creating a false reality, making people unknowingly exist in it, thus controlling them.
May I have some evidence with my bullshit sandwich?
Making it possible for everyone, including the 99.9% of people working at NASA, to unknowingly propagate the lie. And that perception is so powerful, it can make someone who is provably standing still tell you that they're spinning 1,000 miles an hour. And someone who is standing right side up tell you that they're actually upside down.
You do not understand relatives. So, relative to the Earth, I am standing still. But relative to something else, like the center of the universe, I am moving very, very fast. And also, no, you are always standing up, never upside down. That whole upside down thing is what flat earthers think that we think. It's basically a straw man.
Now, I know you have more questions, and we have the answers. And even though your heart may feel like you're hearing truth, I'm sure there are many objections that have arisen in your mind.
My heart doesn't hear. It has no ears. My brain is thinking that this is bullshit.
Remember, we used to be you. We have already had to deal with those objections. Just don't let the projection of someone else's perception get in the way of your pursuit of truth. If you do, it only proves that you're under someone else's control. I pray that you take this seriously because the stakes are high. Don't let anything get in the way of your pursuit of truth, because the truth will set you free. God bless.
I don't believe in God, and out of the two of us, I am the one pursuing truth, not you.